video on camera in a long time, but I want you guys to see that I'm still here. I'm not dead yet. Um, I wanted to show you this little thing. Let me see if I can reach behind me and get it. This is a card that my mom had. She had a few of these cards, and I just wanted to show you that, you don't have to spend a lot of money on artwork. If you have a cute little card, you can just frame it. So that's my little craft moment. What I wanted to tell you folks is that these people invaded my privacy, it seems like since about 2016. And they tried to say it was before. And I told the world they should release the tapes, release the videos. They talked about a conversation I had in, I think, 2018 with my mom. And it was in the privacy of our own home, but it wasn't private. So they referred to it not this morning, today, this afternoon. And I'm telling them, if you are man, woman, or person enough to invade someone's privacy, be man, woman, or person enough to publicly release it so that we can identify exactly who did it. But they're not able to do that. I am person enough to publicly say these things about my life in over 800 videos and in a lot of tweets online. So I'm telling the folks behind all of this torture and abuse, do it publicly. If you don't think you did anything wrong, then you shouldn't have a problem with putting a name and face to what you did. I'm challenging them. They said this is like a competition. I feel like I've won the competition because I am woman enough to publicly do what I do. Be man, woman, or person enough to publicly admit what you did in invading my privacy. They called my mother an idiot. They called me an idiot. They called me a filthy idiot and said I don't wash my ass. So that just gives you the level that I'm dealing with. So I needed to come on camera and say that. I also wanted to tell you folks that as this goes on, they're recording me and trying to match what I said to what they said or what they claim happened. So I will be publicly recording me also. So they don't just get to record me, I get to record me. So they said, I say filming. Well, I say filming, I say recording, I say all sorts of ways that as I'm doing these videos. Who cares? I mean, like, is that the most important thing we're getting out of this situation? So at night, I told you guys I keep an ice pack on the top of my head. I put it behind my ears and the swelling went down. I'm in physical therapy. I still have other doctor's appointments to go to. This is how I look. Let's see if I can get in the light. This is how I look. So, you can tell that I'm not having a great time. So while I'm going through all these medical issues, isn't it fun? They're still badgering me. That just gives you the level of person that I'm dealing with, that I'm going through a lot of medical issues. And I told you guys I didn't want to tell you all the different medical issues because people have their own problems. I mean, I know you guys have your own problems. I don't want you to kind of have to deal with my problems, but I do want you to know that these types of people exist, that while obviously I had to have an issue if I'm in physical therapy, and it's more than one. But while I'm doing this, they're badgering me, trying to get me to remember things. And they even acknowledge that it's strange that a letter that I received 2019 that's post-dated either 2018, 2019, with an approval date of 2016, but with a date of research of 2017 would talk about inflammation and pain. And in 2023, I'm dealing with inflammation and pain. Now, either we have people who have some sort of prophetic, abilities, some sort of ability to tell the future, or it's strange. All of this is strange. And then they talked about brain games or mind games, and now I'm going to brain games and mind games. So as I'm dealing with inflammation and pain, I'm dealing with brain games. It's just all too strange and too odd, I think. And I said this now for a long time, but as this progresses, I'm saying it more. What else they were saying, well, you're not cleaning up as much. Let me tell you something. If you're dealing with medical issues and you're not cleaning, I applaud you. You shouldn't be cleaning as much because you have things to do like I do. What was the other part of this that I wanted to tell you folks? So they wanted to take credit for my work. And they're like, well, we want to know what inspires you. Well, things like this inspire me, right? So and I've seen this since I was a little girl. And I've seen this since I was a kid. I'm 49. So I don't think they can take credit for inspiring me. I mean, things like this inspire me. And that's part of what I wanted to do with my videos, is tell you folks, me, not a professor writing stories about me using my name, which is bizarre, but me telling my story. What else did I want to tell you folks? Oh, there's just so much. As I'm going through all of this and they're kind of badgering me, they said this is a personality assessment. 2 things that they said about me that stood out. They said that I'm the type of person that if you badger me, I will eventually do it. I'll let that just be out there. The second thing about their personality assessment is that I'm passive aggressive. That instead of doing something outright, I will do it in a passive aggressive way. I'll let you decide. In 800 and something videos, have I been passive aggressive? I think I've just been plain old out front with how I feel about the situation. There's no passivity at all in who I am. They've been aggressive and I have not been passive aggressive. I've just told you point blank what they've been doing, which is they're the aggressive ones. And I think this whole thing is passive aggressive. When someone's going through medical issues that they caused, which is, they've admitted it. They said they heat me up because they wanted me to distort my vision so that I can see visions. And they said they hit me with lasers, magnetrons, and something else, magnetic something, because that's what they admitted. So all of a sudden, I'm going through this, and then they're trying to take credit for my work, make suggestions, and keep knocking and banging and talking 24/7. So I think that's passive aggressive. So if we're going to deal with what is a passive aggressive person, somebody who inflicts pain and torture on someone and then badgers them is passive aggressive. So that to me is the very definition of passive aggression. What wouldn't be passive aggressive would be to knock on my door, tell me who you are, how I know you, and what this is about. That wouldn't be passive aggressive. So that's that. The other thing I wanted to talk about with you folks is I've been telling you how this works, and there are a lot of people on Twitter sharing their stories, how this happened. So I was talking to my mom. In 1996, I was a flight attendant for an airline that flew under a United States number. If on the tail of airplanes you see an N number, anything that starts with an N is a United States aircraft, but it was owned by an Israeli person. And I did the Hajj, which when we talk about as a flight attendant doing the Hajj means we worked in Saudi Arabia and we took people to and from Saudi Arabia for the Hajj. And they said that in 2013 I met somebody when I worked at Citibank, and that person was connected to Bibi Netanyahu, and that he was involved in this. So they keep pointing to different people who they believe were involved. And I'm telling you that in my life, I'm 49, I could see how they can blame just about anyone. I mean, at this point, over 49 years, you can blame someone I met in 1980 something. But based on what's been happening, I can tell that in 2016, somebody started to come into the boutique where I worked in 2016. They started then following me outside of the boutique. They started then making me feel uncomfortable, so uncomfortable that at one point in 2017, I got off the train at a stop earlier than my stop. Someone walked into the boutique and said, "Oh, how's your hearing?" And it was so odd that when I got home, I always tell my mom everything. I tell you folks, my mom's my best friend. I told her, and she had to keep reminding me that happened. And then suddenly this happened. So as you can tell, that's my mom running water, and that's her coughing. But as you can tell, there seems to be something that happened in 2016 that then brought all of this into my life. On my Twitter account at Shamega Johnson, you'll see I got a great reference letter from the store I worked in. I have other reference letters online. This did not happen to me prior to 2016. Sure, they spoke to people who I may have known prior to 2016, but this did not happen prior to 2016. The last thing I wanted to talk about is that why this seems to have happened. In 1993, I was first published. Throughout the time I was in college, I continued to write. I stopped writing for a while. Then in about 2001 or maybe 2001, I started writing more. I've always written, but I started writing more. So I wrote a novel. I let people read it, but I didn't try to get it published. I wrote a screenplay that I wanted to protect, so I sent it to the Library of Congress. And I just started getting more into it. So by 2008, I started writing again. And it seems that when I was writing, that could have been what they were after, my writing. But they didn't realize that I had already submitted some writing people read. So there wasn't a way for them to take my writing. From there, I started a YouTube channel where I started doing some drawing. They tried to take that, but it was already released, so they can't take it. People know I did it. From that, I started my websites. So as you can see, my life has followed step by step by step things that I wanted to do. It wouldn't make sense to suddenly claim credit for something that I did 20-something years ago. The last part of this is that there are things that they did that they didn't want me to tell. That's the big thing. But what they made the mistake in doing is telling me things that they did that they didn't want me to tell, thinking I would tell you guys. The reason I told you this in a previous video, the reason I don't tell you the things that they did is I think that was part of the setup. What they did not expect me to do is tell you folks things that I told you, so that you folks will know my story, my life. It wouldn't make sense to stalk me, recruit me to work for you, give me a good review, and then say I'm a horrible person. That doesn't make sense. If you did everything to recruit me and stalk me to get me to work for you, then you've already cleared me as a human being. That would have happened in 2015, 2016, even 2017. It doesn't make sense in 2023 to now say, oh, the research and the investigation I did in 2015 and 2016 wasn't right, but today's is. I don't work for you. I'm not in your life. Why would that make sense? It doesn't. And that's what I'm telling you folks. There seems to be a problem with these people. They threatened my mother's life, my life, and the lives of other people important to me. And I have to keep telling the world this so that if God forbid something happens, you know. And if one person watches and says, I think that's suspicious, then I've accomplished my goal. I'm going to end on that note. That's how serious the situation is. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. And please tell people that this is happening. I'm not the only victim. Thank you.